Original post, April 18, 2024. I 52 male, and my wife 50 female, have been married for 25 years, and are immensely happy. We of course have the normal fights, me not cleaning the bathroom, arguing about me losing money on sports betting, her spending twice as much at the shops as we agreed to. But overall have a really happy marriage. Until about 8 p.m. last night. Recently, we've been having a bit of trouble in the bedroom. I don't want to derail the post, but basically, sex has naturally slowed down between the two of us in the last couple of years. This has really bothered my wife, and bothered me a bit also, I will admit. Once we vocalized the problem, we both agreed we were going to take steps to fix some things. We talked to some doctors, and basically, all of them wanted to put my wife on some serious medications, which my wife was pretty against. This led to about a year of building what we call our sex drawer, filled with products that my wife has tried and tested and likes the ingredients of. It's nothing crazy, literally things like vitamin D, zinc, some Lubrasil soft gels, maca, stuff that has been tried and tested, nothing too wild. Now, here's where things start to go downhill. So, my wife naturally takes these products around the times we're going to be getting intimate. Now, I don't like to monitor the kitchen drawer, but sometimes I do peek. About 3 weeks ago I noticed a ton of pills and soft gels were disappearing. Me, thinking I'm about to have a pretty good week, I start to get mentally prepared for it. So, about a week after that, I recheck the drawer, and a ton more of the stuff has been taken. I remember thinking, that's weird, we haven't done anything recently. About a week later, the same thing happened, tons of pills and soft gels were gone. And I'm not going to lie, I get in my head a bit. Last night, me and my wife went out to dinner. After a couple glasses of wine, I asked my wife why she's been taking so much of the stuff in the sex drawer without trying for any intimacy. I asked coming from an angle of both worry, mostly for health, and confusion. Immediately my wife gets insanely defensive, blows off the conversation, and tells me she isn't talking about it. This makes it where now it's the only thing I want to talk about, and while I respect everyone's, I don't want to talk about this. I think something like this should probably be discussed. I pressed a bit, and for about an hour, she's not having this talk. Basically, it gets to the point where I just blatantly ask my wife if she's seeing other people. My wife, who has never been aggressive or loud, starts basically screaming at me in this Italian restaurant. She tells me my daughter, 25 female, has been having some relationship issues with her boyfriend, and has been taking some of the stuff to help. I'm like, why didn't you just tell me? She goes on a rant about how some things are girl to girl, and how my daughter didn't want her telling anyone. Which I get, but come on, I buy the things to fill the drawer. My wife ends up leaving the restaurant mid-dinner. I've honestly never seen my wife this mad. I'm honestly a bit worried for our marriage. And to top it off, my daughter is acting awkward around me. I get that I stepped out of line with the questioning, but the defensiveness really caught me off guard, and would have assumed my daughter using our stuff would have been discussed, and I wouldn't have actually cared, and would have bought more stuff. Anytime I try to talk to my wife, she makes it seem like I'm an insane out-of-control monster, that I've broken the trust in our marriage, and that I've ruined 25 years of progress we've made together. Am I crazy? I'm beyond confused right now. Edit. Wow, a lot of incredible information in here. Thank you to everyone for your comments. This post has made me feel better, and has allowed me to think about other aspects of our marriage. I've seen a ton of requests for info, so let me try to answer some of the questions here. Me and my wife didn't go to the doctor for only libido issues. I don't know the general age of Reddit, but as you get older things like menopause and other hormonal issues become a reality. I didn't plan on questioning my wife at the dinner, it had been in the back of my head, and after a few glasses of wine, I handled the situation poorly, which I 100% agree with all of you, not the right time or place, though we've had tough conversations before in public. Calling it a sex drawer may have been a bad name, but it's just how we reference it. We didn't really think too deeply when coming up with the name, and I don't know actually which one of us created it. I don't have a good reason why it's in the kitchen, but we're kind of past the age of caring about what someone may or may not see in our home. I wasn't monitoring the sex drawer. The Lubrasil soft gels come only in a 30-pill supply, half the pack or so missing is very obvious even at a quick glance. And for why I didn't automatically assume my daughter, the soft gels mentioned above, and some of the other stuff in there are for a specific thing. While I don't know the ingredients too intimately, you wouldn't really expect those things to be shared. And finally, for those mentioning that my wife is still actually hiding something, I appreciate your comments, and it has given me a ton to think about. While I won't jump to those types of conclusions, I do agree that there is probably more that needs to be discussed between me, my wife, and my daughter. Relevant comment. Comment 1, not the asshole. I am a little suspicious. Missing stuff requires explanation. I'm also a little curious why you keep sex stuff in a kitchen drawer where just anybody trying to help in your kitchen would have access to it. That's the kind of stuff you keep in a medicine cabinet. OP, it's basically a drawer of vitamins. Even if guests found it, I doubt they'd actually know what it was. I think that's just where we ended up stuffing things as time went on. I'd if either of us really wanted it there more than where we just ended up putting things. Comment 2, are there parts of this story missing? It feels like there's something missing. Why did you choose to bring this up at a restaurant? Was it to try to avoid the yelling? Did you plan on it being a fight from the start? Get your wife's side of the story and post it, we crave the drama. Update 1, April 23, 2024. Hey again Reddit. After reading through the post and all the DMs everyone sent, I was a bit overwhelmed and a bit confused, so I decided to just relax and really not try to jump to any conclusions through the weekend. Many of the points that were brought up did broaden my perspective, and some of the ones assuming infidelity did get to me a bit, and I was running pretty high anxiety-wise. Realize, at this point, me, my wife, and my daughter, still aren't talking. Our home has suddenly become one of the most lonely, isolating, and awkward places in the world. Sunday night, while watching some basketball, I basically just thought to myself, I can't go on like this. So, I went and talked to my daughter. I approached the conversation in a, you can talk to me about anything, and if you and your boyfriend were having sexual issues, I would be glad to buy you guys more stuff. My daughter just starts to seemingly break down, to an almost uncontrollable sob. I'll be honest, I thought at this point she was going to inform me on some serious medical issues or something. Once she calmed down, she basically says that she's taken some of the vitamin D and zinc before, but has never taken any of the Lubricil or Black Cohosh. I look at her with that, do you realize what that may mean kind of look, and we just hugged, and cried together. I've spoken to some of my friends who have gone through similar things, and have gotten advice from lawyering up and divorcing my wife right away, to marriage counseling and fighting for the 25 years we've been together. At the moment, I'm not going to do anything. Need a bit more time to think, need to talk to my wife and really find out what's going on. This is probably the last update from me, as when I first came to Reddit this was just a silly fight between me and my wife. Now it's progressed to a place where it's feeling a bit too private for me to share, and the above update was a bit tougher to write. Thank you again for all your comments and perspective, you all have helped me see something that I was blind, or refusing, to see. Top comments. Comment 1, those 2 supplements aren't sex supplements, they are for menopause. Your wife may just be embarrassed that she has started menopause. She may be fearful that you will no longer find her desirable because she has started menopause. Step back a bit before you jump off that high board. Comment 2, there is the possibility that your wife needs the supplements for her own general comfort. I'm not at menopausal age, however, do have medical conditions that can cause vaginal dryness, and it can range from uncomfortable to actually painful. It's personal and can be a very touchy subject. Not to mention the mood swings that come with menopause. Not saying cheating is completely out of the question, just saying there are other possibilities. Story 2. Am I wrong for wanting a divorce, even after my wife has shown more effort in our relationship? Original post, March 21, 2024. For context. Coming into the new year I had no idea my wife had been at the bare minimum having an emotional affair with a co-worker. On New Year's Eve before I found out about this she came home and acted extremely cold toward me and our kids. She was angry. Earlier on that evening she asked if she could go out to have one drink with a female co-worker. I told her that was cool but that the kids were staying up for the ball drop so as long as she could be back to celebrate with them I was fine with it. Well. She ended up getting off of work at 11:30 and barely had enough time to get home. After the ball drop, she cried and cried. I asked her what was wrong, and she said she got invited to her friend's house to have drinks with them. I said, look, I'm not sure what's wrong and why you're crying about this. That's fine. You deserve a girls' night out every once in a while, I don't mind watching the kids. Just go. I put the kids to bed, she left, and then about 3 hours later. So at 3 a.m. I tried to contact her. No answer. I waited about 15 minutes. Call her again. No answer. I call her friend who she's supposed to be with. No answer. She then texts me back 5 minutes later and says, yeah. I'm still coming home tonight. We're still drinking. Never in our 6 years of marriage had I felt a gut feeling that something else was going on but that night it all hit me. I went through our phone records and found another number I was unfamiliar with that she had been in contact with all night. Ignoring my calls, texting that number in between. She had also been texting this number for a 3-month period daily. I never suspected that she would be texting another dude while right beside me watching family movies either. As times had shown. How I didn't see this I have no idea. Maybe she had this individual listed as mom in her phone. I don't know. I had never gotten this vibe or feeling our entire marriage. I was blindsided by it. Anyway. I confront her about it through text with the proof like an idiot. She speeds home, and deletes everything on her phone. No way of getting the backups restored. No way of ever knowing she did not meet up with this guy. Upon finding this out I immediately told her I wanted a divorce. It was at this point she began getting violent with me. Talking shit about everything I had been doing to keep us financially stable. The 18-hour workdays that kept a roof over our heads. She told me that I needed to leave even though I pay rent and both our kids are asleep. I refused. We slept in separate rooms that night and the next day she tried to act like nothing had even happened. Claiming that she remembered we'd fought but couldn't remember what it was about. So I showed her the phone records even though I'm positive she was just trying to pull some crap. She confesses who the individual was and says they flirted a lot but never met up. I told her if that was true, she'd have no issues restoring the text messages she deleted, at which point it was confirmed she deleted everything and deleted her last backup. She also saved a backup after they were deleted the night everything went to shit. Since then, she's tried hard to convince me they never did anything and never saw each other aside from work. I keep finding bits and pieces of things that don't make sense. Chunks of texts were deleted from her friends' messages around that time. Pictures on her Google Drive from that night, where she was with who she said she was, deleted from her phone for what reason? The most damning evidence I have is for a 2-hour period on New Year's Eve. They stopped texting each other then randomly started texting again at around 3 a.m. when I started calling and got that feeling. My gut tells me she left her friend's place, went to his place, and went back. Or, she went straight to his place from our place then went to her friend's when she found out I was calling them. There are revealing pictures of herself she never sent me also on her Google Drive taken on Snapchat. She's since given me all her attention. She initiates intimacy tenfold. The texting stopped. She shows me everything on her Snapchat and even downloads her data to show me she's not hitting other people up. I'm seeing the side of her I haven't seen since we were married all those years ago. But I can't help but trust my gut in demanding a divorce. I feel like she's kept things from me. Not knowing for sure is killing me inside. My parents know all of this and keep pressuring me to work it out and not dwell. My brothers are saying fuck that, get a divorce. Am I wrong in getting a divorce? Keep in mind the dates. It's now been over 4 months since this occurred. I'm positive she cut the individual completely out. But I still can't get over not 100% knowing, and my gut tells me she's still lying. Edit: if some of this is confusing ask and I will clarify. I will also give context where needed. Also, sorry for the way this was written. I'm aware there is some jumping back and forth. I'm just scatterbrained right now. It's honestly getting to me more now than the night I found out. It just keeps building. I feel stupid. Edit 2, also, forgot to add this: the individual in question is an employee she manages. As in, she is his direct supervisor. I've heard there are greater legal consequences for this, but I have no idea. For clarification, the individual in question is actually morbidly obese. I'm by no means fit. But I'm not fat either. Went back and looked at the timestamps for the pictures that were deleted of her and her friends that night. Before the 2-hour period of no texting, during, and after there were several pictures taken with verified timestamps on them. As in they cannot be changed on Google Drive. Whether or not she has a friend that's tech-savvy and was able to do that within the 10 minutes it took her to get home upon confronting I don't know. Is this possible? It's also worth adding I come from a family that has thoroughly convinced one of my cousins that she needs to stay in her marriage even when her husband became solely reliant on her, and got addicted to coke. Is still addicted to coke and physically abused her. All because, by golly, no one in this family has ever gotten a divorce, so essentially doing so I would get disowned by my parents, my sister, all my cousins, all my aunts, all my uncles. But would still have the support of my 2 brothers. Relevant comments. Comment 1. Did she come home acting extremely cold or did she work until 11? OP, silence. Our daughter ran up to her for a hug and she started crying. She then got really irritated when our daughter asked her for a drink. Something that still doesn't sit right with me. She started yelling at her saying, "Mommy needs some space." When I tell you all, there was literally no sign of all this crap until that. She hid everything extremely well. Also, For everyone saying what they are about the 2-hour period. Yes. That was my thought. I went back through the Google Drive at everything that was removed from her phone. There were pictures and selfies taken with her friends at the place she was supposed to be during the time period before it and after it. I doubt she's tech-savvy enough to edit timestamps on Google Drive once everything's backed up. This isn't to say they never met up. This isn't to say she doesn't know how to do that. And it still doesn't make a difference with everything she did. Like I said. Weighing options tomorrow. Reaching out to a lawyer tomorrow. Update 1, March 25, 2024. My wife had an emotional affair at the bare minimum and may have cheated. Probably did but will never admit it. Here is the update. After a long day of considering my options on Friday, I sat my wife down on Friday evening when she got off work and I had put the kids to bed. As soon as I brought up that my trust in her was completely gone, she immediately became argumentative and essentially stated, "I thought we had left this in the past. You never trusted me, did you?" I responded with, "Even if you didn't do anything physical or met up with him outside of work, you'll never let me see those text messages. You'll never pull the Snapchat data." She responded with, "You're right. Marriage is based on trust, and if you don't trust me then maybe we ought to call it quits." The irony in this is that I worked 18 to 19-hour days for the past few years, barely being able to do anything I wanted to do in my life because I was supporting our children, getting them to bed, cleaning the house all the time, doing all the cooking, barely even getting enough sleep. Probably took years off my life just from the stress. She on New Year's Eve said screw the kids, screw you, and essentially went out to party with her friends, all the while ignoring calls from me and our daughter asking where she was while also responding to her bare minimum emotional affair partner. Not getting into all the details so as to not repeat myself between this and the update. Long story short. In my state, we have to be separated for a year before a divorce can be finalized. When I agreed with her that we should start separating and that I had already been in contact with a lawyer, she freaked out on me. She begged me not to go through with it. But alas. Next Friday I will be dropping her off at her parents' a few hours away. The kids will be staying with me for now with the help of one of my brothers. I told her there was only one way I would put this off for now. That was pull the data, pull the texts. Prove your case. She looked down at the ground. One more time. And told me that it was a violation of her privacy. We haven't spoken since. Relevant comments. Comment 1. OP, you do realize that your attorney can subpoena her phone records and texts, right? If you believe there was cheating, have your lawyer get all those messages. Then you'll know and she'll be out of luck. OP, definitely going to happen. I've already been in contact with one, and in the state I live in if there was infidelity she essentially loses any choice in the matter of where the kids stay. Comment 2, oh gosh, I'm so sorry. I've been in a similar situation, he wouldn't show me the texts. Spent about a half hour clearing them and then let me see his phone. Lol. OP, for me, it's pretty black and white. I'm 99% sure she physically cheated. I'd love to just believe her and move on, but I can't. Not only did she delete all texts between them, she deleted all texts from multiple friends and coworkers from that same time as well. But left the ones from prior and after. As far as I'm concerned, her friends were in on it and so was anyone else she deleted texts from. Update 2, April 22, 2024. Long story short, I found out my wife had been having an affair on New Year's Eve as I sat at home with our children. After ignoring calls from not only me but our daughter asking where she was, I went through our phone records to see that while she ignored our calls she was accepting calls and texting another number quite frequently. Called the friends who she was supposed to be with, and they ignored my calls as well. After confronting her through text at around 4 or 5 a.m. she was home within 5 minutes screaming at me and yelling at me as I tried to sleep. Got blamed for everything even though I'd been loyal and the financial breadwinner our entire marriage. She ended up gaslighting me and trickle-truthing as I tried to keep things together for our children. I'll spare you all the details as they can be found in the previous update and original post. Fast forward to today, I filed for divorce against my family's wishes. We are separated but the divorce can't be finalized until next year. She begged and begged for me not to go through with it, and begged me to stay. Not to toss everything out over one little mistake. Funny how she sees infidelity as a mistake that lasted 3 months. Regardless. I've spent a lot of time with my kids. She sees them on weekends if she chooses. I'd love to say that I'm over it all. But I'm still healing. I really did love her, and I wish things worked out differently. But I can never trust her again. She tried everything she could sexually to get me to stay. Hell, the day she finally confessed everything I came home to her dressed up like never before ready to go. I declined. She went as far as offering me head every day for the rest of our lives if I stayed. I've been working and taking care of the kids. It's harder on them than it is me if I'm being honest. They still don't understand. I've just been telling them mommy has some things she's working on. I don't have the heart to tell them we won't be a functional household anymore at this time. Also, my parents haven't one time talked or reached out to me since I told them I was filing for divorce. Not even to check on my kids or anything. But I've been making this work with the help of my brother and a few good friends. A few girlfriends from the past have hit me up to see if I want to catch up, but I need to focus on myself and my kids. I will never understand why people don't just end the relationship if they don't want to be in their relationship anymore. Like, I feel like most people who cheat aren't satisfied with their partner, so why not just end the relationship? That's all for this video. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I will see you in the next one.